All the news from across Cumbria. This is the LDR News Hour on Lake District Radio.
Yes, welcome back. Now, if you live in Ambleside, you may be aware of a major search and rescue operation that's been underway for a pair of tortoises who've done a runner, or at least a very slow walk. The tortoises, one male and one probably male, disappeared from a garden in Stockgill Road last week, and residents have been urged to be on the lookout for them. Their owner is Philip Arends, and he joins me down the line now. And Philip, I understand there is some breaking news on this story.
Yes, we had excellent news yesterday. We'd had a sighting of Fritz, our original tortoise, the one we've had for 47 years. And
how many years?
47 years. Longer than we have the kids, and he's usually less trouble and a damn sight less expensive.
47 years, wow. So Fritz is the one that's been found, you say?
Yes, he was spotted in some vegetation, and after about 3 hours of cutting back some vegetation yesterday, we managed to find him. But at the moment, there's no sign of Tim. Now, we've had Tim for 5 years. We took him from an elderly couple who were moving into a home where they wouldn't have a garden. But they themselves have had him for over 40 years.
Right, okay.
Now, the two of them have teamed up quite friendly in the last 5 years since we've had both. They don't always walk together, but when they sunbathe, they're often out in the garden together. But the fact that they escaped together, we've no idea if they went off in the same direction or not.
Do you think they've been plotting together about, let's make a break for it?
You never know.
So how far did Fritz get then?
Okay, he got, I'd say, up about 600 metres up a field of thick vegetation.
Right.
And he came out at the local people will know the Celtic Grammar School, which is now being redeveloped by a company called Impact. So there's a new development going on there, but it is in fact the site of the old Celtic Grammar School. And he was noticed in some bushes there, but unfortunately at that time when he was noticed, the people who seen him took some photographs, but hadn't heard of him going missing and hadn't seen what we'd put on the internet.
Oh, I see. Because you have had quite a campaign. When did they actually go missing, these two tortoises?
So they went missing last Monday.
Oh, right. So they've been away
Monday
for a while.
19th.
Wow.
And we searched. The problem is we didn't know whether they went into one of the fields, which is full of thick vegetation, out through the gate and into the land where the Stockgill Lane waterfalls are, or if in fact they'd walked down Stockgill Lane and into a number of the properties that are further down Stockgill Lane.
Right. How fast do tortoises go normally?
Well, it's a slow walk, but they're steady, and it is surprising how far they can get. They will walk anything up to 300 metres, up to 1,000 metres in a day, but I think ours would tend to do a couple of 100 metres in a day. But they don't always just walk in a straight line. So that's why we were... it's been a bit difficult trying to track them down because they could have gone in any direction.
And there has been sort of quite a concerted campaign to find them. I know that you've had stuff online and you've also been putting flyers out and all sorts. They obviously mean a lot to you, Fritz and Tim.
Well, it's funny. Most people will probably think, how can you get attached to a tortoise? Because they're certainly not like a dog. And I'd say if you have one for a couple of years, they probably just seem like a walking rock. But when they become part of your family, as ours have, then it's surprising how you get attached to them.
Yeah.
They have got characters, and they're very pleasant. They tend to fend for themselves a lot, the way we keep them. We don't keep them in the house. But you do have to make sure that they are in a very secure compound, which over the years we have had. But they are quite determined little creatures to try and break out of boundaries if they can.
Have they ever done a runner before?
Only through a fence into a neighbour's garden. and it's more sort of inquisitive. They always seem to want to know what's on the other side of the fence.
Right. And you say that Fritz is 47 years old. How old do tortoises tend to live for?
Well, we've had him for 47 years, and he was already fully grown, so we think he's about in his 70s. And their age span is anything between 100 and 150 years.
Wow, and his age shall not wither him. Certainly, I mean, he's off and running, and Tim's gone as well. And you reckon he's about the same age or slightly younger?
We think he's about the same age. Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. He's a little bit bigger.
So, is there any distinctive markings on Tim that people might keep an eye out for if they see him or see?
Well, he's a horsefield tortoise. He's about 12 inches in diameter, and the brown, obviously, is normal colour you'd see of a tortoise. Just a basic household pet, and if anybody sees one, then or sees this tortoise or sees any tortoise, then please report it. And we're quite anxious to get Tim back into the fold if we can.
And where should people report it to, Philip?
Well, on our flyers, we give some phone numbers, which I believe you've got.
Yeah.
Or to the local vet in Ambleside, who's got our number.
Right, okay. That's probably the best way
we've
to
also
do it.
reported to the RSPCA.
I mean, obviously, Fritz made his return.
Yourselves.
Yeah, great. I mean, obviously, we'll keep an eye out for that. Fritz has obviously made his return after a week. Are you still hopeful that Tim will reappear?
Yes, we are. We don't think he'll just reappear in our garden because of the way we're all situated. We think he's probably gone into one of the fields where the vegetation is. But there's every chance that he'll surface and just walk across or down Stockgill Lane and by the waterfalls at any time. We have got flies in the waterfall area. Mm-hmm. The tortoises like to come out and stroll around from about 8 o'clock in the morning. On sunny days like we have at the moment, you could see them just on a patch of clear land, stretched out, taking in the sun's rays. And then they tend to try to find a bush, or if they're in somebody's house, house area, they might find some decking to go under to sleep for the night. Right.
Okay, well, Philip, we're all keeping our fingers crossed for Tim to make his return. If you do, anybody listening, if they do happen to see Tim, why don't you get in touch on Twitter at LDR NewsHour, or you can contact us on the hotline, in fact. The Tortoise hotline, I'm going to rename it, 07310 56 11 66 3. That's 07310 56 11 66 3. Philip, fingers crossed, and thanks very much for being on the LDR NewsHour.